Murder at Ocean View College, Chapter 14. Fumble. Jade stood stone still at the entrance to the parking lot. She was sure that Danny and Amber had just sped by in a red car. Jade was stunned. Cars continued to zoom by her with loud music coming from their windows. Somebody honked a horn and she jerked herself back to reality. She grabbed her whistle and blew. She raised her arms to the approaching cars, directing traffic with great energy, which came from the anger rising inside her. With every arm movement and every whistle blow, she got angrier. When the last car drove into the lot, she was exhausted and wanted nothing more than to go home and crawl into her own warm bed. But the evening wasn't over. She had to stay until the game was over and make sure everybody was safe and every car left the parking lot. Her head began to ache, and she rubbed her scalp and her temples, and she wondered what to do next. That was Danny. There was no mistaking him. And that was Amber. Everybody could recognize Amber. So that was why he hadn't called. That is why she didn't have a date tonight. Amber had been chasing him as long as she could remember. It looks like she finally caught him. Jade groaned. Oh, what now? She straightened up her shoulders and took a deep breath. Part of her job this evening was to patrol the crowd in the bleachers to make sure nobody had drugs or alcohol, and to try to stop any fights that might break out. She didn't feel up to it tonight, but duty is duty, and this was hers. She started walking in the direction of the stadium and the roar of the crowd. She came in through the gate and wasn't sure how much of the game she had missed. She looked up at the scoreboard. 0-0 in the first quarter. She knew it was going to be a long night. She took another deep breath and took a quick look around the bleachers at the crowd of people. They were mostly students, and mostly from Ocean View College. Many people were wearing gold and white, the school colors. From here, everything looked all right. The seats were filled. She started up the steps to the bleachers to take a walk up and down the aisles, checking out the action. She was half hoping that she would not see Danny and Amber. The other half wanted to get mad again. And she knew seeing them together would really make her mad. Half of her wish came true. In the section nearest the home teacher's cheerleaders, she spotted them. She stopped, dead in her tracks. She was far enough away that she thought they couldn't see her, and anyway, it didn't look like either of them cared whether she was there or not. Amber had her arms around Danny's neck, and it looked like she was whispering something in his ear. Jade's eyes grew wider as she watched Amber plant a big kiss on Danny's cheek. Jade turned her head quickly and bit her lip to stop the tears ready to spill out from her eyes. She started walking faster to get away. They still had not seen her. She gripped the wooden baton hanging from her belt until her knuckles turned white. She could feel herself getting angrier, ready to explode. She walked to the end of the bleachers and down under the scoreboard. There was a fence partway around the area, and she thought she could hide for at least a few minutes. She knew that she needed to cool off. Instead of walking around the entire seating area as she usually would, she stayed at the end farthest away from Danny and Amber. She looked around every few minutes, trying to spot trouble, but she didn't see any except for Amber and the hands she had all over Danny. She wasn't close enough to see Danny's face, so she couldn't tell whether he was enjoying himself or not. She tried not to pay any attention to them, but she just couldn't help herself. Her eyes kept returning to the two of them. Sitting near the goalposts, she bit her lip and narrowed her eyes. "If I didn't have to be on duty tonight," she spoke quietly to herself, "I would, what would I do? Go out for revenge. Get both of them. Those dirty rats, scumbags, slime balls." For the rest of the evening, she performed her duties the best she could under the circumstances. When the game was just about over, she left the stadium and returned to the parking lot. She didn't even know the score. She hadn't been paying attention to anything happening on the field. She hadn't been watching the scoreboard or listening to the cheers from the crowd. She was thinking about revenge.